Hey YouTube, in this video we're going to practice converting from decimal degrees to degrees in minutes and degrees in minutes to decimal degrees. But we're going to start with this up at the top. It says in some situations we're dealing with degree measurements that happen to be written in terms of decimals. Okay, so like decimal degrees, that would be something like this, 27.25 degrees, which makes sense. I mean, I get that. But sometimes we want to convert our answers to, say, degrees, minutes, seconds, okay? So examples, like 45 and a half here or 13.831 degrees, sometimes it's more convenient in other situations to have decimal degrees in degrees, minutes, and seconds format. So to convert from decimal degrees, this is the important thing, to degrees and minutes, we must simply multiply the fractional part of the angle, which is the part to the right of the decimal point. This would be the fractional part of our angle, those things. We're going to take it times 60 to convert it to minutes. And really, why this makes sense is this, because we have 27 degrees, essentially down here, 27 degrees, let me do it this way, plus a fourth of a degree, okay? So a fourth of a degree. And if I were to put it like in this argument here, you'd say, well, yeah, those are kind of the same thing. But maybe let's look at it the same way. I want this in degrees, minutes, seconds, and what I know is this, 60 minutes is equal to 1 full degree. So if I wanted to change this part right here to minutes, what I'd have to know is this. I'd have to say, well, 27 degrees, but plus a fourth of a degree, which really is a fourth of 60. Okay, and we can just find that by multiplying. And a fourth of 60 is going to be 15. Okay, so if we were to take 1/4 times 60, we get 15. We'd really get this, 27 degrees plus 15 minutes. Okay, and what I'm basically saying up here is this. We're going to take the fractional part. We could have taken this 0.25, and what we'll do is multiply it by 60, because really, when we found a fourth of 60, that would have been the same thing as if we had taken 0.25 times 60. 0.25 times 60 degrees would have gotten 15. In other words, we were finding 25% of 60 minutes. Okay. So when we want to do this more formally, we'd say, okay, well, if I'm given a decimal degree here, 27.25 degrees, okay, what we're going to do is this. We'll always take this part after the fraction, and we're going to leave the part in front the same, but we're going to say plus 0.25 times 60. We're going to take this part here and multiply it by 60, and then add that part on to the original degree measurement that was in front of the decimal. So in this case, we get 27 degrees plus 15 minutes. Okay, so 27 degrees, 15 minutes. Again, the same thing here. We'd say 51 degrees, 51.8 degrees would be the same thing as 51 degrees and how many minutes. And this is what we're trying to find here. We need to find 0.8 times 60. And that's all we have to do there, 0.8 times 60. So if we grab our calculator here, 0.8 times 60, we get 48. So we would get 51 degrees, 48 minutes would be this conversion here. Okay. So just like when we convert from decimal degrees into degrees in minutes, what we do is we take this fractional part here and we multiply it by 60. It's going to be kind of the opposite to go from degrees in minutes to decimal degrees. I think it's a little bit easier. Okay, so over here we took the fractional part and multiplied it by 60. It says to convert a degrees and minutes measurement into decimal degrees, we use the reverse logic. And to change from degrees and minutes into decimal degrees, we'll just divide the number of minutes by 60, okay, in order to change the minutes into a decimal. So for something like this, here's what we know. We say 62 degrees and 18 minutes is the same thing as 62 degrees and 18/60ths of a degree. So for example, if I wanted to change this to a decimal, this is just a fraction. We could just grab our calculator and divide 18 by 60 and get 0.3. So this would be the same thing as 62.3 degrees here. And likewise down here we say 15 degrees and 45 minutes is the same thing as 15 degrees and 45/60ths of a degree. So we get this 15 degrees plus, now we'll grab our calculator here, 45 divided by 60. It's 0.75 of a degree. So again, this is kind of the long written out way of doing it, but I think that the quicker you get at it, you start to see this. When you go from degrees and minutes into decimal degrees, you just divide this number by 60. And when you go from decimal degrees into degrees and minutes, you just multiply this number by 60 to get your minutes. Cheers.